So I wanted to make a video just about bats. You can use bats in multiple types of attacks. Mainly, I've been using them in regular dragon attacks, and then the P.E.K.K.A. Go Bat. So with P.E.K.K.A.s and bowlers and healers. But you can use them also with Electro Dragons. But you can use them with I think pretty much any kind of attack. The bottom line is that your bats have to take out a significant portion of the base. If the bats die early, you're done. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So, where do you place the bats? First of all, the two types of things that are horrible for bats are the Multi Inferno Tower and the Wizard Tower. The red air bombs will destroy the bats too, but the bats don't trigger them. So, the only time your bats will ever get hit by a red air bomb is if you have other stuff around the bats, like a dragon or a balloon or something. The other thing that kills the bats, and it's just unlucky, and it happens every now and then, is the Eagle Artillery. If the Eagle Artillery targets your bats, they're done. So the next thing is, when do I release the bats? Do I release the bats like outside of the base to come in, or do I release them inside of the base? This depends on pretty much a couple of things. Now, for this base here, if you were going to put the bats on this, which I do not recommend, but if you were going to do that, because it's a multi inferno and because it's there's a wizard tower there, you cannot drop the bats outside here, because if you look at the targeting, I mean, the bats will just die once it gets into the multi inferno, and they won't. There will not be enough bats to get in there to take that out before even with freezes. So the only thing you can do if you want to take out right here is you have to, and you do it in this order. You drop a rage, then you drop all your bats real fast, and then you freeze these two things. The bats will kill them for sure. But that's using a lot of spells to take out that little portion when really you don't have to. When you're doing this happens to be a dragon attack, so when you're doing the dragon attack and using the bats, and you look at the blowers. Well, this guy's got his blowers pointing away, and you want to get the town hall right away with the dragon attacks. So you want the dragons to come from here in here, but you don't want the dragons to hit this area over here. So the Electro Dragon was used to make the funnel. He was hoping to get this right here with the Electro Dragon because he wanted to take the bats and drop them here and have them go in here. But the Electro Dragon did not take this Wizard Tower out. But so then he had to wait for the Wizard Tower to engage something, and it did. And then he just dropped the bats, and then the bats flowed through here, and the bats finished off the base. So when you're looking at the pathway of the bats, for this attack, you want the dragons to come this way. I mean, taking out this is not a big deal. For these types of dragons, the multi inferno is irrelevant. It just doesn't do anything. Bats work really well either not being by an inferno or by a single inferno. So if you can get the dragons to come down this lane and you can use the bats to clear out this lane, you should be good. And the only thing you really have to worry about is right here, a freeze right here, and that's it. So let's watch the attack. Dropping a loon, you always want to drop your loons before the dragons, so it takes up a black air bomb. It's a worthy investment because if that black air bomb hits that electro dragon, I mean your attack could be ruined. Using the heroes to make sure the dragons don't go down the side. He wants them to stay in that lane. Now you see the electro dragon does not take out the Wiz Tower, so he's got to really wait and be patient. So now he's making sure he gets the town hall, get the rage down. Once he does that Warden ability. He's focusing on that. Now he can watch for the bats. The Inferno Tower is focused on. Excuse me. The Wizard Tower is focused on the dragon, so he doesn't need to freeze it. He just can hit it. He freezes those because he was trying to save his dragon because he was a single Inferno locked on it, and he didn't need another freeze for the bats because all he has is that one right there. So you really have to pay attention. You really cannot use your freezes early if if you need them for the bats. So if your pathway contains a couple of wizard towers, then you have got to save the freezes. So you got to think about that when you do your attack. Let's look at the next base. Now this base was this first attack by Brad was a fail, and it was because of the bats not taking out enough of the base. So I know this is not a dragon video, but I do want to show why he came the way he came. So he's got this blower here. He's got this blower here. So you want your dragons to come from this angle, and hopefully you can get them like coming right above this. And then you either have one of two choices with the bats. You either are coming from the bottom, which is going to be next to impossible. You can't drop the bats on top of the Inferno because it's in range of both of these. And if you drop two freezes right away, it's just not going to work. You're going to lose all of your bats right there, and the attack's over. So Brad was actually really, really smart, and what he chose to do is when the dragons came to about right here, he dropped his bats to come in this angle, so the bats can travel down here to get this. Now, there are two choices. Okay, you can use freezes to protect your bats, or you can use ice golems, and this happens a lot in the war attack. So I actually followed up Brad's attack, and I used an ice golem, and I actually messed up the ice golem, and it turned out he didn't even do anything because I forgot about this guy right here, this mortar. But what I wanted to do is drop my ice golem right here on going in right here, so then he would take up this wizard tower, but the stupid golem he traveled to here. So I should have, and I did that. I could have dropped the golem to come right here, and if he did, he would have been in range because he would have gone to the mortar, but he would have been in range, so that would have been good. But the reason why I didn't do that was because I knew after seeing Brad's attack that my bats would engage here, and I didn't want I wanted them to be protected in case they came like right here. I didn't want this to get it, so I just chose to freeze that one first. So when you watch Brad's attack, you see that the bats just die out. I'll put this on two times. Now he panics here. I mean he froze. That's a mistake. You cannot freeze that. Now I know why he did it because it was on his siege machine. But the reason why it was on his siege machine, if you go back and watch, is because the balloons were not dropped before the balloons were not dropped before the dragons and the siege machine. So you want to make sure that your siege machine is always dropped last in the back because you cannot lose that. So now he drops the bats. The bats are down. Notice that I dropped the balloons first, dropped the siege machine last. Also notice that the single inferno only targeted regular balloons, which is totally fine. That's what we want. So now I'm gonna get ready to do my bats. I dropped my ice golem, and then I realized he's walking, so I totally screwed that up. I needed the ice golem to go on the other side. Here come the bats. Now the ice golem pops premature, so he was completely useless. Now the bats are slowly building up, and they're chewing up on defenses that are irrelevant. Now, boom, he drops right there. That's why I wanted the ice golem on that side. Okay, now I can get my other freeze for there. Boom. Notice how much work the bats do. The bats pretty much clear the entire bottom of the base. That is what you need the bats to do. That is how you have to plan your bat attacks. Okay, so this base actually is something that you wouldn't think the bats would work well on, but the reason why they do, one of the big reasons is that you can get this town hall without using your warden ability, because you can get him with your heroes. So I, he gets a town hall. Now he's got his warden ability for the middle of the base. The problem is you got this inferno here, and you got this inferno here. So you either have to do this one of two ways. First of all, the first way is you cannot come out here with your bats. Your bats have to be dropped on top of here with the rage, then the bats, then the freeze. But you've also got to account for this inferno. So he brings three freezes to do this. But there's also another way. You can wait, and you should wait for your troops to engage this inferno. So once you get a bunch of dragons in here, and loons, this inferno should be engaged, so you should be safe on the bats. But he brings an extra freeze and one less bat spell just to make sure. Making his funnel down here because he wants the dragons to go straight into the base. Again, loons first, dragons next, siege last. Rages him into the base. He's still got his warden ability. Probably could have used it right there, but he uses it right there, which is fine. Now, watch the Inferno's engaged. He could do bats now, but now he does it. Drops the bats, freezes, doesn't even use the rage. Drops another freeze, and then drops the last freeze on that one just to make sure he gets everything built up. The bats built up enough. And that's why he didn't use the rage in the back end, so he needed the three freezes for sure. He probably should have brought the three freezes anyways, but if you wanted to be safe, you could have raged back there, but you could still do it without it, but you're going to need the three freezes like you did. The last attack I want to show you is just another, it's a bat fail. I mean, the P.E.K.K.A. Bow Witch, or the P.E.K.K.A. Bow Bat, is it you need your bats need to survive and just take out the rest of the base pretty much to have a chance of three starring. With this attack, it, you pretty much will always get over 80%, it seems, unless you just completely botch it. But let's look at this. So I see this right here, this wizard tower, and I wanted to drop my ice golem right here. I needed to do that, but again, I just had a brain cramp. I just didn't see this mortar. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know how I missed that. But the stupid golem walks right here and he's wasted again. If the golem wasn't wasted, I bet I get this base. So I need to make a funnel here. I do that with the dragon. I use my other P.E.K.K.A right here to clear this, and then I end up getting, I believe, three of the P.E.K.K.As straight into the base. I mean, it was perfect funnel, which is one of the hard things to do with this attack. So everything was in there. So if I don't mess up my bats, I will get the space. And the thing that always happens with these attacks is if your bats don't make it, you just run out of time. You don't necessarily lose your troops, but this attack, because you got stupid P.E.K.K.As doing all the damage, you just run out of time. So let's watch what happens here. Making the funnel. So I believe I get four P.E.K.K.As to go in there, which is awesome. If you can get four in there. So that P.E.K.K.A turns around, he goes in. I got four P.E.K.K.As going in. I mean, this is the perfect. This is like you couldn't ask for anything better for this attack to start right here. You got all your troops coming in, and it should be perfect. With this attack, some people don't bring they don't bring the jump, but I just find when I don't bring a jump, my stuff just goes all over the place. Now I'm going here on the bottom with the bats. And with this attack, a lot of times you need to wait. Some people wait until really late into the attack because you just cannot have your bats die. So I see that thing's locked on my P.E.K.K.A, so I want to freeze. So I start the bat. You see that my ice golem's completely wasted. Stop it! My ice golem's completely wasted. And now look, bats all die. I completely blew it. I didn't even freeze the thing there, and the bats just don't make it, and the attack's over. And if you see, I still would have had the base. You just don't have enough time. Oh no, I wouldn't have had this base. There was another attack earlier where I would have had the base, but I run out of time. So, anyways, I hope you get it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.